Hello and welcome to Merlins Brick News, the weekly show on all things brick building where we talk about set updates and announcements from all the major brands, MOCs of the week, and a few reading recommendations as well. Information is presented as always by setdb.org, the best source for set information on the internet. And this is where we are going to go as always in alphabetical order. We will start with BlueBrixx, the brand over here from Germany, and here we have a couple of announcements of sets coming up. One is the pedestrian bridge, the 107854. This bad boy is going to have 573 pieces, and it's quite huge for that size. So I do believe that price per piece will actually be relatively high. As always with BlueBrixx, we don't get prices until this set is actually available. However, keep in mind this thing is 46 by 48 centimeters square and then 25 roughly in height. So this is quite huge. There's a lot of large pieces in there, and I will call this an infrastructure piece, not only because it is technically a bridge, so it is infrastructure, but also, as you can see, it has a relatively simple design, so there's nothing tiled up, etc. Plus, of course, for many of you, it won't be sufficient to have this on these plates that it comes with, but rather you would, I guess, rather integrate it in your existing MOC or diorama, right? Just this bridge is not a set, it's basically just an extension to a potential train diorama that you have going on. What is interesting about this one, though, is that you can actually extend it. So they will also create this extension. That's the 107856, the middle segment they call it. And I guess you can, add as many as you want to this, which is quite interesting. Like I said, I would personally tie this one up. You should maybe another thing could be to add a couple of minifigures, etc., etc. And then I guess you can go for a very, very nice look. This is designed by Yuri, who is actually a new name in the BlueBrixx designer lineup, and in fact no set has been available yet. However, you can find the Instagram account of this designer, and yeah, as you can see, there are multiple designs that BlueBrixx intends to bring out. Actually, I'm really interested in when we will see the tugboat and the Dutch windmill. Both of them actually look quite nice, and I'm really looking forward to them. As you can see, I've put an availability alert on the SetDB entry of this one. With that, moving on to another design from the same designer, and this is like now the transport variant. This is here the container loading crane, the 107859. Similar idea basically for you train enthusiasts who have additional elements to make your train efforts worthwhile. And this is, I guess, a fully functional train. So I guess the container, because you can't see it, that's because it's not in the renderer. But I'm pretty sure there will be lines, so you can basically raise and lower the container, and you can go from left to right, and even the entire crane itself is on tracks, so you can move it around. Quite interesting. Really if you look at this, BlueBrixx specials usually come without printed pieces, but also without stickers, so everything you see here, including the yellow and black stripes, come usually brick built. That is what you can expect. Don't underestimate the size of this one, though. It has only 998 pieces, but it's 77.5 by 44 centimeters. So this thing is not small, and it's almost 30 centimeters in height. So definitely your train setup needs to be in the correct size in order to fit this thing. With that, we're moving on to something very tiny, a 6-stud vehicle, or 8-stud is it rather. So that what Lego usually calls a speed champion. The 107855 is the first 8 off-road truck, designed by Florian, 275 pieces, and yeah, I guess it's a Mercedes G-Class in a rescue loadout or rescue color scheme, with the blue lights and everything. So here you go. And then something very interesting, a kindergarten. Actually, I think kindergarten is, this is how it's called in German, but I guess in English the term kindergarten is the one that is rather used. Anyhow, Kinder is German for child, so child garden, I guess, is the perfect translation, but I know that kindergarten is a word that is widely used, but I think not kindergarten with a T. This is the German variant. Anyhow, this happens with BlueBrixx from time to time, but I can double check that. Anyhow, 107857, it's not a small set. It's roughly 30 by 40 centimeters. I'm not really sure about this 30, because to me it looks like this thing is on a 32 stud base plate. which would mean 25.5 centimeters. So I'm not sure why BlueBrixx is saying it's 30. I mean, if you have something overhanging, but I think we do not. Yes, the tree. Okay, the tree is the reason. So usually what BlueBrixx is doing, they're using basically the values that they get out of the designer tool. And I guess so if this tree is overhanging, then this is the reason why it's 30 centimeters. But I guess what we have in front of us here is a 32 by 32 and then a 32 by 16 base plate thrown together. And yeah, it's a kindergarten. I mean, I don't know how it is in other countries, but this is how a typical kindergarten in Germany looks like. So I guess it's quite authentic. It's very beautifully done. As always, again, it is a BlueBrixx special, so don't expect any prints or stickers. Everything that you see here is brick built, right? The butterflies and the flowers and the elephant, everything is brick built. And yeah, it looks quite nice, looks very friendly, and is something that I think could make your city a lot more beautiful. And then we have now availability of a BlueBrixx Pro set, the off-road SUV Texas, the 107-349. It's a Technic Jeep, I guess, in a expedition loadout, I would call it. It has 1,855 pieces. I do assume it is BlueBrixx, i.e. I guess it's made by Happy Build, but not 100% confirmed. As always, BlueBrixx is not giving any information on that, at least not on their site. However, this bad boy is going to cost you only $90 over here in Europe. Please always keep in mind, if you're from the other side of the pond over here in Europe, that includes value-add tax. So 4.8 cents a piece for a Technic set. And if this is actually confirmed that this is BlueBrixx Technic, then this is a very good price point. Anyhow, $90 now available over here in Europe. This bad boy is roughly 20 by 35 centimeters and 21 in height. And then we have, I think this should be it now, another wave of availabilities of Robocop sets. So first we have the 6000 XUX. I think I've done some reporting on all of these back in the day when they were announced. So now they are available. As always, keep in mind, this is quite common with BlueBrixx Pro. Most of the times they get available pretty fast after the announcement, while BlueBrixx Specials, on the other hand, usually takes 6, 7, 8 months between announcement and actual availability. It can even be more. With Pro sets, this does not happen that often. I guess the entire logistics process over on BlueBrixx is slightly different for these two sets. So Specials are most of the cases made by themselves. So they have like a huge warehouse over in China with a lot of pieces, and then they put them all together because they don't have prints, they don't have colored boxes, they don't have printed manuals, they don't have stickers, so it's just the pieces in a nutshell and a PDF document. So that's why this is a different process compared to these sets that come with a color box and a manual that needs to be printed, and very often also pad printed pieces, etc., etc. So the logistics and the planning is different, and this is the reason why they handle this differently. Anyhow, a Robocop 6000 SUX 106896, I would guess, I mean, I don't have a scale, but I guess this is slightly bigger than a typical 8-stud vehicle. It has 401 pieces, and BlueBrixx is asking over here in Europe for $25, 6.2 cents a piece. Then we have Kane from Robocop 2, 106894, which is basically a brick built figure, if you will, bigger than a brickhead, I would say, maybe comparable to these larger Marvel figures that Lego has done in the past. Like, for instance, I remember Iron Man was one of these brick-built mechs, in quotes, and I guess here Kane goes in a similar direction. It is 15 centimeters in height and 11.5 by 9, basically square. Anyhow, $17, 6 cents a piece. And then we have ED209, the 106892. This one has 301 pieces, and BlueBrixx is asking for $20, which is a bit more on the higher price side. On the other hand, keep in mind, usually BlueBrixx Pro means everything that you see here is pad printed. And we also can assume at this point in time, it's only an assumption, that all of these pieces will be made by Xingbao. With that, we're moving on to Robocop himself. Itself? I don't know. It's still a him, is he? Anyhow, 106891, 229 pieces, and BlueBrixx asking for $15. So this is what the BlueBrixx, at least on the Star Trek side of things, calls a brick buddy. So it's I think the idea is similar to a Brickhead by Lego, but it's entirely different, I would argue, if you look at the legs and the entire proportions. But there's, of course, a lot of emphasis also on the head, and it's also quite an abstract design, if you will. But I guess I've never built actually one myself. I guess they're also bigger than a typical brickhead is. 13 centimeters in height. I think the typical brickhead is not going that far and has 229 pieces, which is also more than a typical brickhead has. However, keep in mind you're going to pay $15, while the Lego brickhead is usually $10. With that, we are moving on to something interesting. At least I personally find it always interesting, and I always keep bringing up these examples. The Seagrave aerial scope. That's basically a fire car, right? The 102727. So this is a set that has not been available since I'm doing this, and I'm doing this for several years now. So this is one of the old ones, and it is a reminder that always keep in mind that BlueBrixx is one of those brands that basically don't send sets into EOL. If there is a demand, they will bring back older sets. I guess the way they do this, if you go on the BlueBrixx website, you can basically press an inform me if available button, which basically means you get an email by them. And I think they have said in the past this is what they use to basically figure out if there is still demand for one of the older sets. And I guess they've figured out, okay, there are still folks who want to buy these. This is, of course, especially true for these BlueBrixx specials. Like I said, they have a team sitting in China basically packaging these things, and they do this in relatively small numbers. It's all handmade. And as a result, I mean, I guess it's quite easy for them to slot one of these older sets in if there is a slight demand at least. Anyhow, this thing is going to cost you around $33 for 787 pieces. Is 42 cents a piece. I've personally no idea because I've not tracked this. Like I said, this set is older than me doing this, so I have no price tracking here. I do not know if this was also the price that they asked for, like 5 years ago or 4 years ago, whenever this thing came to market first. My guess is there is no price raise in here, because BlueBrixx is not really known for that. But again, I can't confirm. I do not know. Roughly around 4 cents a piece, however, seems to be the typical even norm today for vehicles. With that, we're moving on to one of the 1x18 vehicles, the 80s French rally sports car, the 107295. I think I did report on this one when it was announced. Also BlueBrixx special, and it has, and like I said, it's a 1x18 car, and I think BlueBrixx is still... No, that makes total sense. Anyhow, $40 for 4 cents a piece, not too shabby. And I think let's change the order here. BlueBrixx is then also now making available the Garage Workshop, the 107083. As far as I can tell, the idea is here to have a diorama where you could put in a car, and it is, I would say, based on the scale, it is meant for all of the 1x18 cars, especially for this one here. You may have already seen that I put this in the thumbnail in the combination. So actually, I do not know how exactly the scale is. I haven't counted studs, but I think these two go very well together. However, basically, this is a garage, right? You can throw in any 1x18 car out of the very large BlueBrixx lineup for these cars quite easily. So BlueBrixx has done, as you can see, a lot of cars in this size. So I guess all of them should do rather well in this Garage Workshop. With that, last but not least, availability of Fox Plaza, the one of Fox. I guess a 107190. Obviously, that is, I mean, this is an actual building that is out there. However, it has also been the protagonist of Die Hard, the first movie. I think it was called Nakatomi Plaza, I think. Not 1% sure. So no matter if you are interested in the actual building or more fan of the movie, here you go, $60, 1,534 pieces. I have this thing actually lying around. It just arrived yesterday. I fear, though, I don't have the time to build it in the immediate future, but I definitely will. And then you can expect also on this channel at least a short review on this one. $60, like I said, 3.9 cents a piece. With that, we're moving on to Cobi. Here we had a couple of also the Cessna 172 got available over here in at least in certain German retailers. However, for you international audience, I focus on sets that are actually available in shops that at least have an English speaking website, not just German. But anyhow, what we do have available over here in Europe, in this case by Brickmo, that's an Austrian shop, are 2 more F5s. I think that should be the entire lineup now. So I think, as in typical Cobi fashion, especially with the airplanes 1x48, they are doing more or less the same design in different color national variations. And I think this F5 they have now done in 4 different versions. So 3 of them run under the brand of Northrop F5, as it should be. However, then there's also this MiG, what was it called? MiG 82 from Top Gun, which was not a MiG, it was an F5. So this is a black version. So you won't find it if you search for F5. I think you have to search for something like MiG 28. Here we go. All of these are the same. It's the same airplane in different color schemes by Cobi. So now we have 2 more. Like I said, the 5858, the Northrop F5A Freedom Fighter. I guess this is from the Norwegian Air Force. And it's going to cost you over here in Europe around $33 like the others. It has 358 pieces. Yeah, I think there's not much to add. And then we have, I guess, the Swiss variant, the F5E Tiger 2 Patrouille. Oh, that's French, right? Patrouille Suisse. I'm sorry, my French is even more awful than my English is, so I'm sorry. 5857. Anyhow, same price more or less over here in Europe, around $33. And it's a 1x48 scale. Same thing. Always keep in mind with 1x48, most of the times, if you see a pilot in here, it's just the torso and the head on the helmet, if you will. There are no legs included. And I think I'm not 1% sure if they put like legs in as an extra so that you can put the pilot on the side. I'm not 1% sure on that. I need confirmation on this, but anyhow, here we go. And with that, we're moving on to Lego. And here we have Disney, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs Cottage, 43242. I'm actually not sure, was that an ideas entry? Anyhow, it's listed by Lego as a Disney set, not as an idea set. It's an 18 plus set. As you can see here, it has 2,228 pieces, going to release March 4th officially. Lego has this weird thing going on that basically if you have an online account, which Lego, as you know, called the Lego Insiders. In the old days, they called it VIP, but technically means you have an account. That's it. If you have an account and you have the app, you can go in the store and say, hey, I'm an insider. Please give me the set, even March 1st and not March 4th. And if you go online, you can also buy it if you have an account. And you actually technically need an account. Otherwise, you cannot order online in the first place. It's so weird. But anyhow, I guess, yeah, the idea from Lego is that you feel special because you have an account. And so you can order it March 1st. And everybody else can buy it online and needs an account, but still has to wait until March 4th because... I don't know. It's weird, but not important at this point. March 1st is the release date. I mean, quite frankly, I'm not the biggest fan of this one here, but nevertheless, the March 1st wave, I think since I'm doing this, and I'm doing this for 3 years now, this is the strongest Lego wave ever. I mean, amazing Star Wars lineup. Creator 3-in-1. I mean, think about it. Ninjago, amazing Ninjago sets in there. Speed champions, pretty beautiful speed champions. We have the medieval market I talked about last week, and now we have this. However, personally, I'm not the biggest fan. And this is why, because here in front, it looks amazing. I really like the brickwork. The roof is amazing, beautifully done. Interesting building technique. Have never seen it like this. I guess it's a straw roof, but it looks really, really beautiful. I guess all these 1x1 tiles are pet printed. Not really sure why. It wasn't really necessary from my point of view, but hey, why not? The door. Look at the building technique of the door. Looks amazing. Okay, minifigure lineup. I mean, it's a Disney vibe. Seven Dwarfs, not really my cup of tea. The main characters themselves we have seen in previous sets, so I'm pretty sure I saw. Is she a princess? I guess she is a Disney princess, right? And I think these figures were exactly like the ones in the Disney Castle, and I think even these were not exclusive at this time, not really sure. So anyhow, from this point of view, it looks really beautiful, where I personally think Lego did not do a good job, especially for a set for more than $200. is if you look from the back side. And first of all, it's far too shallow. I mean, this is like a Harry Potter playset, right? Plus, you see the back side of the roofs, which I think look just totally primitive, and this should not happen in a set at this price point. Everything else is quite beautifully, like I said, the roofs, the front, but definitely they should have made this in a rear building, and it should have looked like the way it looks from the front, it should have looked like from the back as well. That's just me thinking, but I do like lots, like I said, there are pretty cool design elements in there. The trees are quite nice, typical Lego tree fashion by means, quite robust, very simple, but still good looking. So from that point of view, I think they have done a great job. The minifigure lineup, I guess, is the one that you would expect. So yeah, why not? However, it's going to cost you $220, both sides of the pond, actually. And with that, we're moving on to MOYU, the Starry Night. So obviously, that's a Van Gogh. I mean, very well known in the community because Lego has done a set as well. However, this one is entirely different, and it has an entirely different design, different building techniques, very much simpler, I should say. And it is mini blocks. So obviously, this is a shrink down version. However, it's going to cost you, at least over in China, including shipping to Europe, I think, $25. That's a very different animal than the idea set was from Lego back in the day. And of course, because it's a mini block set, it looks, I mean, if you zoom in like this, it looks much more primitive. However, keep in mind that of course, because it is smaller, it look in reality, I guess, more detailed than what you may think based on this picture. Personally, I do say that I prefer the Lego design. It looks much more beautiful. However, right, you can buy 6 or 7 of these compared to one by Lego. So that's something to think about. With that, we're moving on to the, oh my God, my Chinese is even worse than my French is, and my French is a lot worse than my English is. Shall I try? Okay, let's try it. Fujian Hakka Tolu Chenghui. And I'm so sorry for all of for every native Chinese speaker. The 8211 from Wange, and this is basically like a fortified building. I think these are quite common. However, this is a specific one. I'm not actually sure what it is today. I guess a museum, but I'm not 100% sure. But this is like a typical Chinese fortified building from the region. And what is interesting, I think, about this one is like what kind of pieces Wange used, because this round shape, to do it like this, I mean, look at the roof. This is something you cannot do with any regular brick system. So these must be special pieces for this set. The same as if you look at the platform. Again, I mean, this looks like a cake almost. It's very interesting. And I'm really, I mean, I do hope that somebody's going to build this thing, because I would love to get more pictures. Like what kind of special pieces have they put in here? Even if you look at the brick walls on the outside, I'm not even sure if you can do this with regular bricks. However, this may be, I don't know, this may be coming out of a renderer, and this is why it looks like this, but I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in here that I don't really understand. I mean, don't get me wrong, Wange has done in the past a lot of pieces that are not standard, but I don't know, this set looks like it's almost not no regular brick design. But yeah, quite interesting nonetheless. 3,317 pieces, and you can buy this over in China. And as always, this includes, I usually take the price shipping into Europe. Depending, of course, on your region or actually your country you live in, shipping may be entirely different. Obviously, there's a lot more variance compared to, let's say, shipping within Europe or something like that. Anyhow, $110, 3.3 cents a piece, not too shabby. With that, we're moving on to a couple of reading recommendations. I've taken a look at the Red Bull F1 RB19, a Formula One car from Rasta. This is actually scale 1/24, so this is like, yeah, what typically in the Lego world, for instance, you would call a speed champion. And yeah, Rasta is doing 2 Formula One vehicles. So this is a Red Bull, obviously a very famous car, very successful, I guess one of the most successful Formula One cars of all time. And Rasta has done, I think, a pretty good job on this set. So first of all, yes, Rasta is doing also pet printed pieces. However, it is a bit like Lego Speed Champion by means, yes, you have a few pet printed pieces, but then you also have a bazillion stickers. However, what they have done is also put in printed tires and printed rims, even in 2 different width sizes. 2 different widths? 2 different widths? That sounds weird. Anyhow, And this is, of course, amazing because this is something that, I don't know, nobody else is doing. Obviously, if you use, like I do here, my macro lens and go very close, you can see it's not easy on such a soft rubber to get a print on. So obviously this came with a price, but nevertheless, I do believe they have done an amazing job here. From the brick design, I'm not 100% sure if I like the area around the cockpit. Because it feels quite blocky. I mean, this is why I put this in this picture here. It looks much less blocky in the original. So I think the job here is not perfect. I will come to another raster in a second that is actually, I do believe, better in this regard. However, I mean, then you can put on a bazillion stickers, and of course after that it looks a lot more realistic. I mean, the blue of the stickers is not exactly the blue of the bricks. However, all in all, I do believe it looks quite nice if you look at it like this. So, but yeah, even without the prints, I think I had a couple of pictures here like this one. It doesn't look so bad. I mean, I think you could also just use the prints and no stickers and you're still fine, especially the tires and the rims, of course, are really driving it. With that, we're moving on to an old but gold, oldie but goldie set, the 60287. I've done a review on the Lego City Tractor. It's like I said, it's a bit older, from 2021. However, I do intend to look at a few more agriculture sets going forward. There are a couple of companies over here in Germany doing a great job here around agriculture, Kittycraft and BlueBrixx, and so I wanted to have a comparison to Lego. That's why I've decided to buy this one and build it, and it's quite nice actually. I really like, I don't know 100% sure why, but I really also like this minifigure. However, you see as always this problem that Lego has, that they do not print to the edge of the brick. And I think sometimes it works out, but especially these kind of this kind of minifigure here has some problems. However, the white on red has really worked out quite well and with this figure, which is interesting because most of the times it doesn't work. And yeah, I think the tractor itself is pretty cool. As of course, it's driven a lot by the tires, which are amazing. So quite a beautiful tractor. And over here in Europe, you can get it for around 13 bucks, so it's not too shabby. And then we have a review from Stone Garden on the Morg Medieval Magician. My apologies. It's designed by Kevin Peters, who has actually done 3 of those. And all 3 of these will be brought out by, or actually available from Morg. And we actually do intend, so I think the plan by Stone Garden is to build all 3 of them. My understanding is that you have to slightly change them, and you do that. So that's, I think, part of the instruction. You can put all 3 of them together, which I think will look amazing because this is pure, in quotes, mock beauty. So the designer here is really going all the way. There's a ton of amazing snot technique in here. And yeah, it's like a typical mock, which also means, I guess, it's not going to win a prize on being robust. I mean, the roof looks like, I don't know, you just look at it sideways and it will fall apart, but actually quite beautiful. Really, so if you're interested in that, you may take a look at this article. And then last but not least, another one by me. So I was very busy in the last week. And this is the Alfa Romeo F1 C42. So this is a competitor from Alfa Romeo. And so basically many of the things I've said about the other set are true here as well, included the printed rims, etc., etc. Obviously, this car, especially this C42, is a car that you see a lot these days. So Raster has done 2, a small one, the small one, and also a large technical one. Kada has done the same thing. And the reason is, of course, that this car, one of these 2, was driven by a Chinese driver, by Zhou Guanyu. I'm pretty sure that was entirely wrong again. So of course it's very famous, and this is a famous car over in China. But yeah, I think Raster has in general done a good job. However, compared to the Red Bull, I think the sticker color to the piece color or brick color is actually a bigger problem. So that's why I'm personally not a bigger fan of the other one when it comes to the stickers. However, if you look at the brick build design, I actually prefer this one. But anyhow, if this is what you're interested in, you may take a look at this article as well. With that, we're moving on to MOCs of the week. And here we have On the Way to the Military Show by Darius Drum, who is actually from my German-speaking community over here. He's quite active in our Discord. And he has, of course, this iconic way of building figures. So he's never using Lego minifigures or anything like that. They're always brick built and always have this specific design with the small slopes as a face. And it's I personally think it's hilarious. I mean, I really believe it's a beautiful design. Personally, I would still prefer Lego minifigures, but I mean, he's really using his way of building his own figures to be very flexible, right? He can do a ton of stuff, a ton of different designs for figures because they're brick built, and it's very beautifully done. Also, the horse is brick built. Everything around the cart is brick built. It's really amazing and shows what you can do in 2024 with the pieces. With that, we're moving on to an abandoned building by Lego Profi, The Last of Us. I mean, yes, I think he picked this image from The Last of Us, the game, but I personally do believe, I mean, this is like I mean, it's basically a rotten building, and I guess you can use it in a ton of different like apocalypse scenarios, but also, I mean, this could, be just an abandoned building, I mean, even nowadays. So I think we were quite flexible, and I think his way of designing and his building techniques that he's using with a ton of plate work in walls is really paying off here and is really working very well. I also love the color scheme, dark red, olive green, two of my favorite brick colors, and it just looks beautiful. Well designed, $15 though, not that cheap. However, it's 3,841 pieces. However, I do believe you don't have to build this entire thing. Just taking a look at the building techniques, maybe buy his instruction, take a peek at all of his building techniques and design ways, and then maybe create smaller ones, smaller variants of these. Could be quite interesting as well. With that, we're moving on to an Austrian train, ÖBB, Österreichische Bundesbahn, I think, which is German for Austrian Federal Train Service, something like that. 1216 Railjet by Mimi68. However, he put up front a French, actually, locomotive. I have no idea how to pronounce this, but basically means electric locomotive, right? So that's interesting, like a French term for an Austrian train in an otherwise English-speaking website. So that's interesting. This is how small the world has become, which is great. But I do really like the train work. Beautiful design. However, it looks from the building technique quite heavy. 3,474 pieces. So I'm not sure if you will be very happy with just one motor unit in here. I think you need at least two to push this thing forward, especially if you have like a hill or anything in your scenario. But beautiful design, $15 for this setup. I think you can also buy all of them individually. And then we come to the Invisible Hand. So why is somebody doing a mock? Because Lego is releasing a set very similar to this one a couple of weeks from now, and I think Invisible Hand on the Admiral S. I'm sorry. The designer wrote in here, yeah, I just started with it, and then a couple of days later, the announcement came around. However, it could be still interesting to build this one because it's very authentic, very up to scale, and I'm actually not sure if the Lego set can do this because I think the Lego set is not long enough to be really up to scale, but let's see. I actually intend to build it, so I will see for myself. $2 by Admiral S for 1,247 piece mock. And if that is not enough for you, you may want to build New York Part 1 by Lego New York. I think the designer is writing here, the intention is to build New York and Lego. I'm not really sure what that means, because if it's up to this scale, I guess Manhattan in this scale will be as big in Lego as a small city is. I'm not sure. Anyhow, this thing here was just one building, but an underground below, it's actually 3 buildings, and an underground is already 12,821 pieces. $25 for the instructions, and it looks amazing. I mean, the brickwork is really great here. There's quite some interior as well, and there's a metro below, which I believe is amazing. This is where, if I would build a city, that's actually not my intent. I'm more on the, let's say I'm more the Star Wars builder and stuff like that. But if I would build a city, that is what I would go for. Trying also to fully integrate a metro below, because I think it's so cool compared to just, throw a base plate on a table and then go for it, put the building on top. But I do believe that this entire concept of having something below and underground is really amazing. With that, moving on to another amazing micro diorama for Star Wars by Jelko. And this one is really cool because, I mean, it has a couple of very, let's in quotes, interesting design choices in there. For instance, the scale. So if you look at it, you have here all the stormtroopers and the regular Imperial officers. And then you have the Imperial Guard or Praetorian Guard. I'm actually not one sure, the Emperor and Darth Vader. And as you can see, they're entirely different scale. So Darth Vader, the Emperor, and the Guard are twice as high as the other troops are, which is an interesting choice, right? To put emphasis on them, I guess, by Jericho. So I like it, but I guess it's not everyone's cup of tea. What is also really interesting, as always, he's doing amazing work also on the, let's say, micro build side. So we have three different types of TIE fighters in here. You have the Interceptor, the Bomber, and the regular TIE fighter. We have ATSTs. We have the shuttle, so all in all, a great collection of starships as well, and the entire diorama. However, it is going to be huge, I'm pretty sure of that, and you will need 5,657 pieces. But it is beautiful, and there's a ton to think about when you look at it, and especially the scale, the play with the scale is really beautifully done. Anyhow, $25 for the instructions. And then we have a couple of interesting modulars and buildings. First of all Irvine experts, the Apple flagship store, and it looks beautiful. I mean, I've talked about designs from this designer before, and this modern design that is, of course, very different, for instance, compared to Lego modulars. I mean, this reminds me a bit more on designs, for instance, of Also Young. And I'm just a big fan of these modern architecture, modern design. It's not just because it is beautiful, but also it is a bit more realistic, because this is how actual new buildings in our cities nowadays look like, right? While, for instance, the traditional brick built design, like i.e., I mean, of course, with that has been defined by Lego with their modular buildings. That's like, I don't know, this is how buildings may have looked like 100 years ago over here in Europe, or maybe 200 years ago. But I think having something that is more modern is actually, I think that is something that's quite desirable. In the same, or no, it's a different direction, but still a very modern building, but huge, by Brick Studio Architect. The modular fire station. This, I think, is on 2 base plates. So this thing is, no, it's 4 base plates, right? Yeah, it's 2 base plates wide and 2 deep. So this thing is huge. But if this is something, a large fire station that you're looking for in your city, and I mean, you're a bit overwhelmed by the size and, you know, the design work that needs to go in here, I think this may be for you. I mean, you could even make it bigger, right? This is for 4 fire department vehicles, but obviously you could make it just twice as wide, right? Why not? So if you're looking for building techniques, design ideas, or even just want to build it exactly like it is here, this I think is really, really cool. Just $8, that's almost nothing for 5,176. Brick mock instructions, and yeah, I really believe it looks beautifully, it looks realistic. Again, it looks like something that could, at least, I don't know how it is in other parts of the world, but I think in Europe this is how it looks like. And so yeah, great work. And there's even some fire going on. Beautiful fire station. And from the same designer, we have actually a newer design, the downtown lofts from Brick Studio Architect, 5,653 pieces. And yeah, I mean, again, modern design. This is something that an architect may come up with nowadays, and it looks beautiful. There's a ton of detail in there, different shops and stores and offices and everything that you need in order to get, you know, to have your city busy. So we have regular office jobs. In this case, it seems to be like a design company. You have a photograph, and like I said, you have like a cookie shop, and you have ballet. What is the English name? Like a dancing school, I guess you may call it. So yeah, quite beautiful design, very busy, lots of variants in there. And then we have by Pixel Dan, who I think now a lot of folks are aware of this name due to his amazing shuttle design. And now he has done something very tiny, the Micro Falcon 2024, very compact design with ramps by Pixel Dan, 280 pieces only. And it's a very tiny Falcon. It's even a lot smaller than the new MIDI scale or whatever, or Starship Collector series, whatever Lego is calling it. This thing is a lot smaller, and actually I do like it because it is a beautiful design and it has everything that you need. It's clearly a Falcon. He's done a great job here, and I do believe this thing should work perfectly well with the trench run diorama by Lego, because I mean, I think it's not entirely accurate because that's almost impossible in this size, but I do believe it fits very well together with the trench run. I guess it's slightly too small, but nevertheless, I think you should have a lot of fun bringing this in. I don't know, buy the trench run by Lego maybe twice and then throw this in here as well, or just put it slightly higher than the trench run. So there's, I think, a lot of interesting options to get these together, but also the way Pixelden is showing this one here, like just, you know, on the floor, etc. And like he said, it even has the ramp, which is amazing. I think it should make a great display piece as well. And then last but not least, another beautiful building. However, I'm not sure if I like the pictures that much. I think, I don't know. I'm usually a big fan of real world pictures, and of course, because it has been made like this, the Lamborghini dealership by I Brick It Up. Of course, shows also that it works. However, I don't know. I think it's over. These colors are slightly oversaturated, but let's talk about the MOC. I mean, I've talked about this before. I'm a big fan of having interesting dioramas to put in, like for your minifigures, but also, for instance, in this case, for your speed champions, right? To put them in a nice and beautiful context. And I think this could be a great diorama piece. Maybe just do the ground floor just to present your cars, or do the entire building and put this into your city. Really like it, $15, but for the Lamborghini dealership, instructions are for 2,832 pieces. That's not too shabby. However, looking at the size of this thing, it's not even that much. Anyhow, I hope you liked the show. For all of you who want to support our work, like, comment, subscribe, follow, rate, whatever it is called, wherever you listen to the show or see it, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you are. I think we are on all the major platforms. Also, another great way to support our work is if you have built a set and you figure out, okay, there is some data missing, like the number of prints in a set, the number of stickers in a set, building steps, how many building phases, etc. Information like this, just go in the setDB on the individual set that you have just built. And you can do two things. First, you can go on missing or wrong data on this link here on the lower right corner. And then you get to a form where you can throw in all the data and send it to me, basically all the stuff that you have figured out in addition. And I just saw that I need to translate this one. But anyhow, how many animals are in there, prints, stickers, etc. This really helps out because other folks in the community may be interested in that. And the other way is if you have built a set, just give it a rating, 1 to 10 stars, easily done. As soon as we have, I think, 5 ratings, we will also start publishing the average. And I think that helps a lot of folks in the community as well. With that, thanks for listening. See you next week.